Let's get started with using Axe to optimize Trusted Tester version 5. And with me is the amazing Allen Hoffman. Allen, do you want to introduce yourself first, since you knew Trusted Tester before I did, for sure?
Sure. Thanks, Glenda. And I'm glad to be here. I'm not nearly as cheery as Glenda, but I'll do my best. And I think those of you that may be trusted testers or are looking into it will find this a very interesting presentation. And I worked with trusted testers since it was sort of invented, and I'm now with Deque. And so I sort of just bring it along with me. And I think I went to the right place. Deque is really, picking up the trusted tester ideas and taking them further than we were just within the government. So that
Awesome.
said, meanwhile.
So Allen is also Trusted Tester V5 certified, and I'm a competitive kind of person. So I'm Glenda the Good Witch Sims, and I've been with Deque since February 1st of 2011 and doing accessibility for 20 years. And inspired by Allen, I went ahead and learned Trusted Tester over the last X number of months, and am Trusted Tester number 205.
Yeah, I'm number 635.
But you kind of are the father of Trusted Tester, are you not?
I am, I think.
Yeah. So I think you're also, you beat me on Trusted Tester. But with that said, let's get started on our content here. And what I'd like to do is, do we have that poll ready, Ryan, to see if we can find out how people in the room are situated?
We don't have one ready, but I could whip one up real quick.
But that's okay if we don't have it ready. I just want to have people type into chat. Are you, tell me about the work that you focus on. Are you mostly a tester of accessibility, or are you a developer, a designer, management? Just to get a feel for the room. I would normally do this with raising of hands. I see a developer, a tester, consultant, somebody that does all. I was waiting for that, the many hats. Oh, right, somebody that's V5 certified, program management, never heard of Trusted Tester. Awesome. So all over the gamut. And the next question I want to ask is, so we have some people that are certified, and I'm going to assume that we have some people that are not. I saw a few of those roll by. How many of you are actually already using Axe, the accessibility extension, browser extension? Are any of you actively using it? Okay, Tammy loves it. Christine has it. Some people haven't gotten it yet. Super. So I just wanted to get that feel of the room. Some people don't have it yet. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we had a little bit of sense of who you were in case we needed to make any adjustments. So we've heard a little bit about you. You've heard a little bit about us. Now let me take you to today's flight plan. Trusted Tester version 5. We are going to give a high-level overview. There are some people in the room that are not Trusted Tester certified. We want to make sure we give them that foundation. And Allen's also going to talk to us about accessibility rules and what that really means. And I'll lead you into a discussion of challenges of accessibility testing and how Axe tools support Trusted Tester. So that's our flight plan for the next little bit of time. And with that, Allen, oh father of Trusted Tester, what is Trusted Tester V5?
Okay. So since we have people that aren't as familiar with Trusted Tester as maybe I am or Glenda is, so I'm going to give you that high level overview of what Trusted Tester is. Before I get started, I want to make sure I say this really clearly that Trusted Tester is supported from the Department of Homeland Security, but we don't speak for them. So I just want to make sure that's clear. So no matter what we say, we don't speak for DHS. So go ahead and go to the next slide.
You bet.
So the Trusted Tester program at the Department of Homeland Security is it's a number of things, but it's a combination of a baseline set of accessibility evaluation rules and a set of non-proprietary, teachable training. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hear two things at once here. So, non-proprietary, teachable, talking a tongue twister today, test process training and tools, which is used to validate WCAG level A and double A conformance, along with a couple extra Section 508 items. The piece that comes at the end is the Trusted Tester certification, which is why I really say it's a combination of pieces. The process, the training, and then a skills validation is a critical element that puts the whole thing together so that when somebody says I'm a trusted tester, that people know that they actually can produce reliable results. If you're interested in it, you can go to www.dhs.gov/accessibility for information about Trusted Tester from the Department of Homeland Security. Or you can email them at accessibility@dhs.gov. Next slide.
You got it.
So the process, I already hit on this, covers WCAG level A, level double A for 2.0. It does not include 2.1. It's scoped to HTML right now only, so it doesn't cover Word documents, PDFs, Windows apps, mobile apps. It's just HTML. There is an intention in the federal space to expand it to those other areas. The test process itself is composed of 20 logical elements that are sort of, element based. So for example, forms, tables, images, things like that. It's composed of 20 groups of tests. There are a total of 67 tests. They are manual tests with tools to help. So you can see the test process at www.dhs.gov/trusted-tester. It's documented there, so that's if anybody needs some sleeping material, there you go. So let's go to the next slide. So as I started out, it's a combination of rules, process, training, and certification. And now we're up to the training and certification part. My experience is that you can give people a test process all day long, and then if you hand it to 3 people, you can probably get more than 3 answers back, not get consistency. And so there's a lot of judgment calls to do full accessibility testing, and to get reliable results, you have to provide some good training and guidelines to get people to be testing and making those judgment calls in the same way. So Trusted Tester 5 was released last summer in August of 2019. And just as a side note, it is Trusted Tester 5. Trusted Tester like 3 was released like 10 years earlier for 508. And hopefully they've learned a lot of lessons since the original. It's released by the Department of Homeland Security, Office of Accessible Systems and Technology. That's where I worked before I came to DQ. I was a deputy executive director there. If you're interested in the Trusted Tester training, you can get it at training.section508testing.net. It's free. I can't say as though it'll be free forever, but I would guess it probably will be. There's 6 courses, all the way from just, the beginning of what is Section 508 and accessibility awareness through the standards. What are the WCAG applicable standards to, and Glenda could attest to this, detailed, in-depth testing training for each of the tests.
Oh my
with practice.
it was a lot.
Then after you get through that part, the large testing training, and piece by piece practice, you get a practice exam for the certification, which the practice and certification exams are randomized interactive live testing and scoring, so that it's as close to real world testing as we can figure out how to deliver that. I would estimate it's between 80 and 160 hours of time to complete the certification. Some people may do it faster than others, and some people may do it slower. I took forever, and I even helped write the thing.
Alan, we've got a great question that just came in. Can Canadians become Trusted Tester certified? My guess would be yes, but I wanted to double check with you.
There are currently around 700 people who've passed the Trusted Tester V5, and they're from all over the world. I don't have the breakdown right now, but it's open worldwide. And so, yes, it's all over the world.
Cool. Great question. Thank you.
So that's really just the high-level overview of Trusted Tester. It does rely on a tool from the Social Security Administration. Kind of goes back to the non-proprietary part of Trusted Tester. And then one last thing on it before I jump into rules is that Trusted Tester is sort of considered the minimum. It's not the maximum. You can add on to it. If you want to put more tests in, you can do more things, as long as you're clear about your results. And that will become important in a little bit. So then we're going to go back and talk about accessibility rules. As I mentioned earlier, if you take a checklist and hand it to 3 or 4 people and ask them to go do some testing, you may get more than 3 or 4 answers back, and then you got to get people to do those judgment calls in the same way. Well, the same even holds true for just writing down what is the sort of algorithm or the rule that we use to make our judgments on accessibility testing. When something does it meet the standards or the guidelines or conform to those guidelines, or does it not? And frankly, if you read the WCAG success criteria and then try to write those algorithms, sometimes that can make a person crazy. They're not written as algorithms, and so that's hard work, frankly. So there's a group called the W3C Accessibility Conformance, I want to say Task Force, ACT, who is putting together those algorithms, validating them, getting folks to agree that, okay, this is correct. And the chairperson for that group is Wilco Fears, who just happens to be a DQ employee. And can you read the GitHub URL there, Glenda? Because I could not memorize it.
And I will also type it in. It's act-rules.github.io/pages/about if you want to learn more about what's happening at the W3C accessibility conformance testing. I will tell you that it's very geeky, it's very nerdy, and it's really designed for people that are creating testing, detailed test methodologies and testing tools. So the people making Trusted Tester, the people making ACTS, it's designed for them. But we wanted to make you aware of this.
Right. And so I'm down. So ACTS is the automated accessibility evaluation core rule set that a lot of our products work on, so that we're always using the same algorithms to pass and fail accessibility tests. Trusted Tester is sort of the same thing for a full set of manual testing, and it's based on the same set of rules. It's not based on ACTS, but it is based on the work from ACT, the work from Trusted Tester all came together. And so we sort of have a closed circle of folks working on test processes and working on those base rules. And that's why we want to talk about rules, because if people are testing based on different algorithms and rules, eventually they're not going to agree very much and the results are going to look different. And for Trusted Tester, that was the big thing, is let's try not to have as many different interpretations of the same thing. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Got it.
So where are the ACTS rules? You can get a human readable version of an ACTS rule at, I got to read this again.
Oh, I'll read it for you.
Okay.
dequeuniversity.com/rules/ACTS. And that link will lead you to the top level of the ACTS accessibility rules, because we're always improving at this moment. It's ACTS 3.5, and we have 82 rules. And if you were to go in and look at something of interest to you, I'm just going to say HTML element must have a valid lang attribute. You can get a feel for these rules. And as Alan said, this is the human readable form. And then I'll let you talk about the next piece, Alan.
So again, back to the example here. So an example of a rule is an HTML rule to determine if there's a language attribute defined on a page. It's called, so the name, sorry, I got a big lag in my, so HTML has lang. That's just, got to put a name on it. The HTML document element has a lang attribute, etc., talking about some other ways, for people to include language attributes. That sort of just gives you just a basic description of what is the requirements. Then you also get to see some information if something fails this rule, then how to fix it, why it matters, a description of how does the algorithm actually work in the rule, disabilities affected, and then which WCAG success criteria is this supporting. So if you fail this rule, then you're going to fail what WCAG success criteria. That's with every ACTS rule, so that if you want to look through them and see which rules go where, it's all there in human sort of readable. And if you don't like that, you can go to where Glenda pointed to GitHub and read way less human readable format. Let's go to the next slide.
You bet.
So now we bring in the movie references of one rule to rule them all. So as I mentioned, the W3C ACT rules are really where we're going to get a single set of validated and agreed upon sort of rules and algorithms that decide, what are you supposed to test, what passes and what fails. So the ACT is what to test. It's the foundation. It's the center for everything. ACTS is a set of how to test in an automated way, consistently, reusable rules and automation. And then Trusted Tester is a manual test for a set of those WCAG success criteria in 508. That's, you could build it on top of ACTS. You could add ACTS to Trusted Tester. The picture is the inner circle is the WCAG ACT rules surrounded by a circle with ACTS rules and surrounded by Trusted Tester, so that they can be built and they can be built on one another if you want to.
So we've got two good questions that have come in, Alan. One is the Trusted Tester program free?
I mentioned this earlier, and I'm going to say today it's free. I don't work there, so I can't say it'll be free forever. Although I will say that charging people money, it's not something that you would think this is kind of like backwards, but charging people money for training, it's not something the government's very good at. So I don't see that it will become a pay-for service in that respect right now, and not any time in the near term. So it is free. So.
And the second question is, can a screen reader user independently complete Trusted Tester version 5?
I'm going to say not independently. I'm a screen reader user, and you will need sighted assistance in a fair amount of it, because by the nature of what you're doing, you're testing, testing images, even testing captioning is pretty hard to do for a blind person all by themselves. Testing audio description. The tools that are used work fine, but yes, by their nature, it's almost half of the tests sort of require sight, and so I had to get a significant amount of assistance to complete the course, and I was slow about it too. Until somebody can show me a way to overcome that, I don't see that changing anytime in the immediate future. There's nothing to prevent you from having assistance throughout the entire course to get somebody. I actually had my 12-year-old help me on several occasions.
Oh my gosh, I love that, because I've always described sighted assistant as a 12-year-old, or sometimes I'll even say a seeing eye dog that speaks English, because that's what it feels like for me when we provide that for our employees.
I will say the simple answer is that if you're blind, it just takes longer to go through to do the tests.
Mm-hmm.
And I helped write a lot of that course, and I think I would have been able to whip right through, but the testing just takes time and getting them right. And so the answer is I was able to do it, and I did need to get help. And then I guess, unless we have another question, it's back to you, Glenda.
It's back to me. We do have one more question, and that is Trusted Tester a lifetime certificate?
I think the answer is it's not supposed to be, but until somebody comes out with the continuing education component of it, it is. So it is Trusted Tester 5 until there's a 5.1 and a training plan, then they're valid.
So it's good as long as TT version 5 is out, and then you may have to do a little bit more.
Yeah, so So previously, for people that had Trusted Tester 3, until 5 came out, we didn't have to make people recertify for Trusted Tester 4 because it wasn't a big enough change.
Not a big enough
But
change.
when 5 came out, it was a complete do-over, and so yeah, then people had to recertify.
I'm going to hold any more questions. There is one more, but I want to make sure that we get to the meat of this. And so I'm going to lead us into the challenges of accessibility testing. So I don't know about y'all, but I think accessibility testing requires a lot of energy, effort, brain power, etc. And I want to ask you if you can answer me in chat. So do you feel like I do, or are you more like Willy Wonka? I have so much time when it comes to accessibility testing, and so very little to do. I have more
Another movie
time
reference.
than I have work to do. Are you more like Willy Wonka, or are you more like Maverick, feeling the need for speed? There is never enough time to do the accessibility testing work that you need to do, and you just feel like you're buried. So Alan's agreeing. Jen, hi Jen. Deque and Maverick, never enough time. And I think that that's something that's pretty exciting about our industry right now, is that for so many years, somebody feels like I love Lucy at the Chocolate Factory. I am going to use that in a future presentation. Thank you, Steve. That was fantastic. I'm really excited because for years I've been just trying to get people to be consistent and accurate, And now we're moving into an era of efficiency of your energy, of our brains. And so one of the things when Alan and I were preparing for this, Alan had come up with this wonderful list of, here's some challenges for all accessibility testers. Manual testing is very time intensive. Training, understanding how to do that manual testing is time intensive. You saw the hours that he estimated for Trusted Tester were above 80 to over 100 and something. And he wasn't kidding. It even took me that long after being in the field for 20 years. And the last thing you need on earth as a trusted tester is a false positive shooting out at you from an automated tool. And so he listed false positives for automated testing are terrible time wasters for you. A false positive in our manual testing, if a person makes a mistake and reports something that's really not a failure, and the developer has to come back to them and say, well, that's wasting everybody's time too. And then you heard Alan talk about how much time it takes to develop these consistent testing methodologies. Very, very time consuming, but the return on investment is huge. And what was fascinating is that I kind of feel like I'm Alan's sister in that he helped write Trusted Tester, and I led the charge for writing the Deque testing methodology. And so we both wrote a methodology. And if you think about it, wow, that's a lot of energy for almost the same thing. We were both writing for how to test WCAG. So that's why I was excited about some of the things he was showing you with the W3C. Wouldn't it be super cool if we could centralize this stuff? So if these challenges are resonating with you, then let's ask audacious questions. Let's not be satisfied with it takes so long to do a page. So if I asked you, what is the fastest, most efficient way to find up to, dare I say, yes, 50% of your trusted tester accessibility bugs? If you think about that, the answer that I'm going to say to you, and I say this not based on opinion, and I say this from the love of an accessibility advocate's heart, is running Axe on a page will find up to 50% of your trusted tester bugs in seconds. And if you haven't used Axe yet, I happen to be showing it on screen. It is accessible. I have just a screenshot of it. And near the top of the navigation for the Axe window is a pull-down menu where you can select just show me the violations, or just show me the ones that need review, or show me everything. So what's nice is you can funnel this down and say, you know what, Axe, you're really sweet about things that need review, and you're really sweet about maybe some best practices, but right now I'm just trying to get through a test and I have to report all absolute fails. So trim it down to just your violations. And the tool itself offers some delightful features, and I'm not going to go too deep into them right now, but some of the things it includes are the exact element that is causing the failure, how to solve the problem, and a link to learn more into free content that's offered at the Deque University, so that if a developer is new to this or trying to figure it out, they could actually try and solve the problem. And if you look very closely at the bottom of the screen, this issue, we happen to be looking at one, images must have alternative text. It has category tags for the issues, that it's a WCAG 2.A failure, and it's failing 1.1.1, and it also is a 508 failure of old 508.2.2.A. So lots of delicious features in this tool. And the exciting thing is when Allen came on board at Deque, I'll admit, I'd always put on my bucket list to become a trusted tester. Well, now I had to compete because Allen, the father of trusted tester, like I had to get this done. And then I was able to sit down with Allen and say, Allen, what of the rules that we have in Axe today are an absolute map to what's required testing and trusted testers? And we worked through that exercise and we found 34 automated rules in Axe that map directly to trusted tester requirements. No question. Why is this true? Because at the core of Axe, at the core of the W3C, at the core of trusted tester, what do we all share? WCAG 2.0. So I have a graph on screen. I'm not going to go into detail of the graph. It's just to show you that some of those rules are going towards the same checkpoint. If visual's not your gig and you're maybe a screen reader user, the next slide has those exact same 34 rules. It's the data table that was used to build that bar graph. And this will let you see, I'm just going to say, for example, trusted tester version 5, and it's testing checkpoint 5.c, which relates to 1.3.1 programmatic labels, has 5 Axe rules. And if you're the kind of person that you're not ready to trust Axe yet, and you want to go read those rules, I've even given you the rule names, and early in this presentation, a link to the GitHub source code. What's so exciting to me about the Axe offering is it's open source. You can read everything. There's no magic box that you have to trust. You can see into it, and the world is using this. It's the agreed upon rules for testing WCAG. And I'm very proud to work at the company that had the audacity to open source our rules so that we as a community, as a society, could spend more time working on efficiency than each of us individual companies creating these automated rules. So, okay, I'm a little excited about it. And what I want to tell you, and then I'm going to look over here, I see some questions popping up, is Axe is a free tool. It allows you automated testing in browser. If you've never used it before, it's very easy to install. And Wilco Fears, our product owner of Axe, has a zero false positives as his important goals. So this tool cares about you and I not having to dig through false positives. And when I have the nerve to say it finds up to 50% of your WCAG failures, I'm not saying that just based on my personal experience. At Deque, we've tested thousands and thousands and thousands of pages, and we have looked at the data, and we are seeing that the automated failures are more than 50% compared to the manual failures. And trust me, my team works really hard to find those manual ones as well. So this browser extension comes in both Chrome and Firefox, and you can simply find it at deque.com/axe. And Ryan, if you'll be so kind as to type that in chat just to make it even easier for people. I'm going to pause here and look at a number of questions that have come in. Is the Deque testing methodology documented someplace? Deborah, yes, it is. It is currently, our testing methodology at Deque is considered intellectual property, so it's not open, although you can get to it through some of our courses and some of our paid courses and products. So it is very well documented. We have the, do we offer a certification program too? I do have a certification program within our process, because to be a Deque employee and do assessments, you got to be able to make an A. So I do have a process. It's currently only intended for our employees, but we could explore other options. Jesse asks, are the 34 trusted tester rules that Axe found also found with tools like Google Lighthouse and Accessibility Insights that utilize Axe Core? Yes, Jesse, they are, because Google Lighthouse and Accessibility Insights are using the exact same Axe Core rules. So what's nice about this current era that we're in is there's less and less differences between automated testing tools, because they're using these open source rules. It's not true all the time, but we're moving in that direction. So I have a question from, I believe you pronounce that Megha. Automation tools, definitely useful, but I feel it also cuts down employment opportunities for manual testers, especially someone with people with disabilities. What's your take on this is the first question. And you know, Megha, I would say I have yet to experience too little work and too much time. And so I'm not feeling that. And I think that the usability testing and the expert testing, I have 10 employees with disabilities in my ranks. And I would rather use your higher brain, your intelligent brain, than doing the easy stuff that honestly the developer could have caught before they even published the code. So perhaps we should continue that conversation over a beverage of your choice at a later date, but that's how I feel about that. You're an accessibility tester at present. You'd like to explore more into the business analyst for accessibility or advocacy. Can you guide me with some right steps? So Ryan, could you take that second question, and I would and make sure that I get it in an email, and if I can't have Megha's email address, I'd like to respond to that offline, because sure, it's a fabulous question. It's just a little off topic for this, so I'm not going to address it right now. Awesome. Isabella has asked, how do we integrate Trusted Tester with Axe? So I'm going to move us forward right now. And before I go much further, I want to say, how do you feel about pulling automation and Axe into your trusted tester process? Are you gung-ho? Are you leery? Do you need more proof? So I understand that it's not something that you're like, okay, Glenda said you need a little more proof. So let me show you some more things. And I believe that this is a decision that each of you need to make. And I hope that you see that you can trust Axe just like Google and Microsoft has trusted Axe. Those are pretty big companies and they're real picky about their accessibility. Yeah.
And just to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
When I came over to DQ from doing Trusted Tester, I had made a list because I was still getting familiar with the Axe rules. I made a list and gave it to Glenda, and then Glenda came back with a longer list, and we went through them. And yeah, she's right. She's way more familiar with Axe than I was, and I'm at the time way more familiar with Trusted Tester.
Mm-hmm.
And we came to this list that we shared, and I have no problem that these are, why spend time if it's going to tell you where they are?
Yeah.
You can go spend time doing the rest of it's not as though you're going to run out of manual tests for a while. So, I think part of this is don't be afraid of automation when it's all using the same algorithms and rules.
Yep. Absolutely. So now I want to show you the next speed boost because I think this is really important. I am on a mission of efficiency, whether it's inside the trusted tester process or WCAG 2.1 or WCAG 3.0. How can we make this so that it's not taking us so long to get feedback to developers, or perhaps even get it so that the developers can solve the problems before they even write the code wrong? So here's the next speed boost. It's another currently free gift from Deque. If you haven't heard of Axe Pro Beta, I highly advise you to take the leap. Axe Pro Beta is an experiment that we're working with. The design is geared towards developers. So while a lot of people in this group and a lot of trusted testers really are on the testing side of things, imagine if we could stop the problems before they even got finalized at the developer level. So that's why this tool exists. And why I'm bringing this particular tool up is you can get access to Axe Pro Beta. You can get it right now for free. It will run the exact same Axe Core automated test rules. You can explore the guided manual tests, and I would encourage you to explore them. I have not been able to run experiments yet on, does an advanced tester find efficiencies by using these guided manual tests? I don't have evidence of that. Does it help a developer not create something bad? We're seeing excellent evidence of that. The other super powerful piece, and this is why I'm mostly bringing it up in this presentation, is you can export the issues. So run Axe Core, export the issues in a comma delimited or semicolon delimited or JSON file. And you know what you have in your hands right there? In this case, this icky page that I tested, which is a purposefully inaccessible page called Mars Commuter, 91 accessibility issues were found automatically by Axe. Download, export, and you've got those issue descriptions, the exact line of source code that caused it, remediation recommendations, and more. This is that speed lift that I'm seeing.
Yeah, and so as a tester, you know that like making a report sometimes can be half the battle. And so this way you can speed up your report generation like drastically.
Yeah. So I could go on about Axe Pro Beta. I do encourage you to try it. Remember, it's currently free. It's not guaranteed always free. So get in there now while you can. And
Hey, Glenda.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. You did mention the guided tests, but I'm not sure if you said much about what that is.
Oh, good point. Good point. So I was just exploring, there's an images guided test on here as well. The other ones on screen are page information, lists, keyboard, headings, and forms. And every accessibility expert knows that at the current stage of automated accessibility testing, you know what? We still need human beings to do tests, right? I might be able to tell you that an image has no alt text, but I cannot tell you if the image has appropriate alt text automatically, right? The guided tests will actually step you through identifying images, and it'll ask you which images on the page. It pulls them up. Check off the ones that are decorative. They are not conveying information. And then it guides you to make sure that those don't have the wrong alt, and vice versa. So each one of these, it steps you through. It's very much like a wizard. And we've actually gotten love notes from developers that say this is the first time they've been excited about accessibility testing. So I think we're onto something. I really think we're onto something.
And if you get asked those questions enough times in a row, eventually people get sort of trained without really going through training.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the last piece that I want to show you on the tools front is, are you ready for warp speed? And I do have an image of Han Solo and Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon right at warp speed moment. There's one more tool that I wanted to make you aware of. I want to be really clear that this next tool that I'm showing you is not one of our free tools. It's called World Space Assure. It's automatic testing and guided manual testing with rocket boosters, because for a business, Deque does a ton of testing. And we want every one of our employees to be as efficient as possible. So this tool is used internally. It's also available for any customer that wants it. And I was so excited when Allen joined the team to learn that because the Trusted Tester Manual Process version 5 is open source and non-proprietary, we were able to take it and pull it into World Space Assure. And so our team and anybody that wants to use World Space Assure, not for free, but for an appropriate fee, can use this tool to do what? Automatically run Axe Core, because who else? What other auto tool do we want to use? That's the great one. And Allen and I worked through each one of those Axe Core issues automatically assigns to the appropriate Trusted Tester ID. So on screen right now, I have the Trusted Tester 05.c programmatic label manual test. It is verbatim the Trusted Tester methodology. Axe has already caught that a form element must have a label, and it's already filed under here. So in seconds, 50% of your bugs are already reported in the correct area. Complete manual testing process to a T. This improves efficiency, consistency, and if you're working in a large environment, can allow multiple people to collaborate and work on a big assessment together. We have QA processes, and I could go on. So this is another tool that I wanted to make you aware of, and I know we've got some questions. Ryan, how much more time do we have? Is it 8 minutes?
Yep, 8 minutes.
8 minutes, okay. I want to leave time for questions, and so I'm going to wrap us up with an interesting left turn before we move to questions. Who here is into self-driving cars? Are you ready for that self-driving car to come pick you up and take you somewhere? Are you still like, not so sure? All right, I see a Tesla. Tammy's a yes. And I grew up in a sports car family, and so when I first heard of self-driving cars, I was like, "Nuh-uh, nuh-uh." And the more I've talked, one of my friends is actually on the self-driving car team at Uber. He explained to me that self-driving cars have 5 levels of driving assistance. 0, no automation. Heck, that's what I grew up driving. And now that I have a new Honda CR-V, I get a little bit of assistance where it helps me not turn into a blind spot into a car that's in my blind spot. And I have the automatic follow, but at all these times, I'm still in control. The human's still in control or is ready to take over. I want you to think about automation in your accessibility testing the same way. Do you really, once you can have blind spot in your car and auto follow and don't get too close, man, I never want to go back. So run ACTS manually. Think of it as your cruise control and partial automation as your ACTS Pro beta, exporting those issues. And if your company is ready to commit to this, we have the World Space Assure program that integrates this all together. So I'm happy to talk about this in more social spaces, but I want to get to your questions. And as I move over to your questions, I want to say this. We're, as a company, Deque, are not satisfied with how hard it is to do accessibility. So we are committed to continue to invent, and we have a lot of big thinkers. And so I have a little picture on screen of our lab, because that's the mentality that we have here. It's not okay to leave it the way it is, because we've got to be able to make more progress. All right, so let me see what question came in. I'm gonna go with Steve's question. Is trusted tester training a good time for somebody who's a developer who is a beginner to accessibility? Alan, what do you think about that?
I hate to be an advertisement, but you might want to just take the Deque online courses.
And I wanted to ask you specifically, Alan, because I really think that the trusted tester is more geared for somebody that's going to be doing trusted tester for the government. And I too would have recommended the same, but you're the father of trusted tester, so I wanted you to answer first.
Well, I think the difference for a developer is that the Deque online courses go into the how to fix things and how to code things. More the trusted tester is not a how to fix things, it's a how to test things.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. So that's the difference in my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I'm looking back. So Jeremy, you asked a great question. Oh, hi Jeremy. You're down in San Antonio. So we do cover, ACTS covers a number of the trusted tester tests. It partially covers them. And I have not done the analysis on ACTS Pro beta because I was just looking for the automated piece, and I'm not sure you're getting efficiency in those guided tests. So it's the same automated tests that would be in ACTS Pro beta. It's just the ability to export the issues.
Glenda, this is Ryan. I can provide maybe a half answer to help.
Okay, great, great.
At least with regard to extending test coverage, I can't offer value on how that maps and aligns with trusted tester. But you alluded to that 50% coverage of volume of issues earlier. And from the 6,000 plus users of ACTS Pro we have so far, they have flagged, if memory serves correctly, something like 600,000 issues, 82,000 of which were flagged by those intelligent guided tests that we would presume would not have otherwise been flagged in development.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's about 13%.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot. And Jen's got a great question. As an accessibility specialist working on va.gov, does Trusted Tester 5 make sense for her? Alan, is the VA currently using Trusted Tester? Do you know?
To my knowledge, they are.
Mhm.
They're also a DQ customer.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that they are. So they use, I think they kind of use both some DQ methods that go beyond Trusted Tester as well as Trusted Tester.
And you know what, y'all? I have a vision. Earlier, Alan showed you accessibility rules, one rule to rule them all. I see in our future that the fact that Alan wrote Trusted Tester, I wrote the DQ way testing methodology. I see these coming together under that W3C accessibility conformance testing. So the similarities between the two are already at like 85, 90%, but that 10% difference, if there's a change that we need to make on the DQ side because we've done something not appropriate, man, we can make it like that. Changing it in the government, I've got to build a case for it, and I haven't had the time to do that yet. And so we just need to find the time to work those two together. I hope they merge, so there really is just one test methodology that works for all.